Hello, and welcome to an episode of This Week in Testing. It's Friday, 29th of August, 2025, and this is episode number 102. It's a big number. They keep going up, and it's very exciting. And I am super excited because today I am co-hosting with the wonderful, the awesome, the incredible Sarah Deary. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm very good. Nice day, sunny day. Although my
Yeah.
dog is loose, I have to warn that we will hit parking. But apart from that, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wow, it's an honor to co-host with you today. So Sarah and I work together at Ministry of Testing, and we get to do lots of cool stuff together. We pair up on all sorts of things behind the scenes to, well, do our very best to ensure that people have a wonderful experience, whatever they do within the Motiverse. So yeah, and today we thought it would be a good opportunity to explore the Software Testing Essentials Certificate, aka STEC. So STEC. Wow. And I see a few people in the chat that have been saying the acronym STEC. So I feel obliged to also say STEC in the chat. So if you want to say STEC, I don't know what it manifests, but something happens if we just keep on saying the word STEC, STEC, STEC. Thank you, Rosie, for doing that. And I saw Ady Stokes sharing earlier. And again, yes. For folks who are unfamiliar with This Week in Testing, let's just take a little step back. This is our weekly get together as a community. Good opportunity to chit chat, find out what you've been up to, and reflect on a week in testing. And every so often, we have a bit of a special episode. So a few weeks ago, it was a Test Bash special. So you can get hold of that on the podcast page on ministryoftesting.com. And today we've decided to talk about STEC, this wonderful certificate that is available and complete, and it is ready for people to take, and we are very excited. And yeah, so let's get stuck in. Sarah, given your role with STEC, I thought you're probably the best person to ask, or you are the best person to ask, as to like, what was the initial spark or need that led us here at Ministry of Testing to create STEC? What kind of problem were we trying to solve for the testing and quality community?
But it probably pushes back like years and years. We've always been doing things for juniors and people at the beginning of their software testing careers, like all the way back through to collaborating with Mark and Dan at the software testing clinic, through to doing an essentials test bash. It's always something that we had spidey senses, and from feedback from the community that current training people felt that there were gaps, or that when they started their jobs that they didn't feel prepared for their role. Like a lot of feedback on current training was that they felt that it gave them a language, which is good because you can then articulate what you're trying to achieve, but they didn't feel prepared to do the role. And so we had it in our heads for years that we wanted to build something, but it always was a huge undertaking, and we're a small team and we do so many things. And then suddenly the time came and we had the bandwidth to create something, but it wasn't something that we didn't just go off hearsay. Everything that we do at MOT is research driven. So we did do research. We did the crux of what makes a good bit of training is whether people do the role. And also we had to see if there was a gap in the market or whether it was just perceived. So we did a load of research on what training was available. And we did find that existing training courses either were too tool focused or too high level, or missing the softer skills, things like that. So we identified a need for sure, that there was needed a more complete training for people at the start of their careers. And we also did a bunch of research we did a needs analysis. So to create good training, you need to know what the person doing the role needs to know and do. That's the crux of what good training is, that they can do their job and fulfill their role and go into it confidently. So we surveyed over 160 juniors, and we talked to a bunch of managers, and we found out, what is your day-to-day stuff? What is it that you do? What is it that you need to know? And we would ask them, what are your skill gaps? What did you find really hard when you started your career? What was on your day-to-day job? What did you struggle with? And then we collated all that data and we did task analysis on it. And then we turned that into a curriculum that we then got feedback on, and also work from Rosie's work in trends fed into it as well, because we're constantly researching and talking with the community. So yeah, so I'd say like what kickstarted it, we've always had an interest in it. We've always knew there was a need. We found the capacity and we did a whole load of research to kickstart this. Does that answer the question?
100%.
Yeah.
It's amazing. No, it's so cool to hear that, because I genuinely forget all that stuff. Like, I've completely forgotten that we went through that phase, but we did, right? It was just like, it really set the scene and helped us shape, because we could have made lots of assumptions, or we could have looked at other courses out there and gone, oh, let's just do what they do, but better. But we didn't do that. And I love the way you described that journey and the process we went through. I think the other key element that I think was always going to be different when we took it on was, it wouldn't just be like me, you, and a few others inside a Ministry of Testing, like Team MOT, we're going to build it. Like, we are the experts and we have the knowledge and we can easily pull all this stuff together. It was clear that, well, we work with community members to build stuff. Like, we do that in many different ways, whether it's through our conferences, other types of online events, whether it's articles, talks, on-demand courses. Everything is done with the community, co-created with community members, like real people that are out there doing the job, have experience, different levels of experience in different contexts, in different industries, and are living it and breathing it. And it was amazing looking back on how many people we ended up collaborating with and how many people contributed, that it just works so well to bring in these people. But yeah, before, I guess, getting into that, from your perspective, as you were like leading the way, setting like the schedule and the process for actually developing it, what was it like project managing the whole thing?
I wasn't alone. I had help, and there was a lot of trial and error at the start, like working out. So obviously all that we just discussed earlier was like creating the curriculum. And then once you have that curriculum, you got to build it. So then it was like, so you've got your outcomes where you know what you want your learner to walk away being able to do. But then we had to identify how we were going to help them achieve that. You need to create the thing that will help them achieve that goal, that outcome. And I was obviously collaborating with you and Rosie on that, and Ady Stokes as well was heavily involved. Like, what is the best way to help someone achieve that? So that was a huge undertaking, was like aligning what was the best way to achieve those goals. Once we'd worked out those formats, then it's like the huge task of talking to the community and finding the right people who are happy to contribute in a certain way. So I would say like the types of content that we found to be successful were, we had people obviously writing articles, we had people demonstrating in videos, we had people creating activities, we had people taking part in fireside chats, like test chats we were calling them. And then one of like my favorites as well was test bites. So these were like little audio snippets where people would share things. So yeah, coordinating all those people was obviously a challenge as well across different time zones. And then I guess another challenge would be so how many people did we even have? It was loads. 59, which is
59,
incredible.
yeah. I think
people.
it is amazing. And you put out a lovely Ministry of Testing memory post. I'll link to that actually in the chat for those who are listening along live. But if you are listening on the podcast, just search for STEC is complete on ministryoftesting.com. And yeah, Sarah, you put out a really lovely post just celebrating all those people, like the image itself, just to see all those faces on there, to see how diverse a group of people that is wonderful. And that is utterly essential that was in place. And, what a brilliant bunch of people. I look at everyone on that screen. I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, they're just brilliant people who are up for doing good things, who have knowledge to share. And I think you did such a good job of inspiring every one of those people on that screen.
They all made it easy. I honestly can't believe a lot of it. I was like, because we were designing and build as we were building sometimes. So it'd be quite late notice. You'd be asking people, or can you please, we think you'd be brilliant at this particular topic. Are you able to contribute? And honestly, people 9 times out of 10 were like, yeah. I honestly just can't believe my luck. And then we created quite a bit of, one thing that I found helpful was that to make it as simple as possible, because people are busy, right? Is that we would create these structures to help people contribute, particularly with things like, see my dog is kicking off, like with regards to test chats. And that was a bit of iteration as well to get this format. But we'd start off, say like this, have a topic like risks. We'd then want them to cover the basics. So we'd ask some questions around the basics that they were to then discuss. Then we would say, oh, can you share some stories from your career? What were the eureka moments? What were the pitfalls in this area? What do you wish you'd known at the start of your career that you now know now? And then the third set of questions were, what are your top tips? What are your final tips for those at the beginning of their career? And that structure just revealed ridiculous amount of gold. And like people were just so willing to share. So yeah, it was definitely a learning curve because there was iterations of where we were trying to get that kind of material and it just was not working. Like we tried panels and it was a lot of repetition. We tried people giving talks and again, it just wasn't going as deep or sharing as, it wasn't not useful. It was still very good, but it just wasn't as easy. We were trying to make it easy for people to contribute and it was just not feeling that easy. And then articles, to be honest, we'd have to ask Ady because Ady, I can't stress how awesome Ady was because he pretty much was in charge of the article side of things and managing people in that and feeding back to people and keeping people within scope. So it's quite easy to scope creep when you have 59 people all doing individual lessons because people want to share all that they know about something, but actually they might be overlapping with the lesson before, as he did an awesome job of that. So yeah, is that what we've covered that now?
Yeah, totally. And and amplifying your words about Ady, what a brilliant human, super knowledgeable, super experienced, just a real collaborator. And as you say, brought everyone together with the article side of things. So yeah, thank you very much, Ady Stokes. And we continue to work with you and do awesome things for the next certification. We don't want to jump too far ahead. This is more of a reflective session to talk about STEC. But we are always at Ministry of Testing like, right, what's next? Go. But that's just how we do things. But I think, the mixed media approach was wonderful. And I love the fact when you landed on those set of questions, like it proved the power of asking certain questions in a certain way, which I think is a skill in of itself that we need to work on as individuals and particularly as quality professionals. The ability to ask questions I think is underrated and we probably don't talk about it enough, particularly as we're handing over the responsibility to AI tooling to just ask the questions for us. Give me some questions and that's okay. But I think there's some critical thinking to be done. So the power of asking questions really came through. And as you say, when we were asking questions in a certain way, then all this magic appeared and all this incredible knowledge and experience. Like I love the little audio bites, people telling their little stories. A lot of that stuff we would get, I guess, similar to what happens on a This Week in Testing episode where folks are sharing some things that have been happening and they remember this, that, and the other. And that stuff you can't just get that instantly, right? It's all been bottled up in STEC. It's really powerful, the amount of knowledge that people can tap into if they are new to software testing. And even if they are experienced, like I found myself as an experienced quality professional reading some stuff and going, oh yeah, not seen it like that before. Or, oh, I hadn't considered that. Or that is completely new to me. And I've been doing this for a while. So I'm sure for others who are experienced, it will help them reflect on their experiences and also help them train others. Imagine you're a team lead and you're coaching your team. You can use some of the techniques from STEC to support you in doing that. So yeah, lots of good stuff.
If you look at the people involved, some folks had like between 10 and even up to like 40 years experience, and to have that like condensed down into their like top tips and eureka moments and the mistakes they made and what they learned from it, from such a wealth of people from different backgrounds that have been in different domains. And it's crazy when you think about it, how I just don't think you could get anything like that anywhere else, that wealth of information.
Yeah, completely agree. And I see in the live chat, for those who are following along live today, the certification that shall not be named. Gary mentions has lost its credibility years ago, but there was little alternative for people. So STEC is massive. Thank you for sharing that, Gary. I think it's okay to name that certification. I'm happy to use the letters ISTQ and B. It was good for a while ago. Funnily enough, I found my old certificate. I posted it as a memory earlier this week. I was ISEB certified back in, was it 2004? I can't remember. Oh, Ady in the chat. Did you mean to say STEC? Yeah, I did. Yep, sorry. But no, those certs did serve a purpose at the time. It helped, as you said before, Sarah, there was like a bit of a common language between teams. But the whole exam thing and the pressure it put on my team at the time when we took it, where people did better than others, wasn't very motivating. It was pretty demoralizing, to be honest. And that's all we focused on was our score and nothing else, which really felt counterproductive. So I think the thing I absolutely love with STEC is the concept of the portfolio. And we haven't really talked much about the portfolio, but yeah, Sarah, what was your thinking behind what is the portfolio theme throughout the whole of STEC, and why do you think it matters?
So it was something that we've created before for other courses, but essentially it's just the idea that for your learning to be effective, you have to actively use it and create something with it. You have to use it there and then. So within STEC, every lesson has an activity where you apply what you've just learned. For example, I'm stuck on risk because we just talked about it, but if the lesson was, if the outcome, the goal was you want people to be able to prioritize risks, the activity at the end of that would be, here's a bunch of risks and prioritize them. And then the evidence that you generate from doing that activity would then go into a portfolio of work. And then the idea is that you then build this whole body of work that you can show to your manager to prove your development. It's also just a useful reference for you, right? You can go back and look at, if you organize it well, you can look back and learn from the things that you've done. But then also in interviews, you can prove that you can do these things that you're talking about. So for us, the real test in that someone knows and can do a training resource, can do the outcome, is them literally doing it. So for us, the most important thing is the body of work that they create, is this portfolio of work. And the exam is more secondary. It is a tick box thing, but it is needed. Like people who do need a certificate to show people that they've completed it, but it is not. You could have two people that have a certificate, and one has taken the time to create a body of work, and the other hasn't. Who's going to get the job in that circumstance. Like a certificate can get you through the door, but if you can't prove that you know what you're talking about and that you can do what you're saying you can do, it gives the candidate a lot more strength and value, I think. So that was why we focused on it.
Yeah, it's a great way of describing it. It's really powerful. It really is powerful. And I like Judy Mosley sharing in the chat. I've heard of brag sheets. Has anyone created a brag portfolio they can share? Well, yeah, folks who are going through STEC right now are creating their brag portfolios. Like, why not? It should be bigging up what they're doing and demonstrating and sharing stuff in public. And that is encouraged throughout STEC. It will help other learners be inspired, and also those people who aren't taking STEC, who aren't going through it, like it help them reflect on their things. It's also bigger than the individual who takes it. And I think that is an important thing. So it just connects with everything that we do at Ministry of Testing and the concept of the multiverse. Like we all play a part, but like we're there to amplify each other and learn from each other and build upon what other people are doing. So that's where it gets really cool. And yeah, thank you for sharing. Linda Hughes, who is a wonderful who has an unlimited membership with Ministry of Testing. So thank you, Linda. Linda says, lovely to hear how it all came together and all of the research and work that went into it. Thanks to all involved. I'm looking forward to starting STEC shortly. Portfolio building, as you learn, is a great idea. Thank you for sharing that, Linda. Much appreciated. Yeah, we look forward to checking out your brag portfolio if you're up for sharing it in public, Linda. No pressure, but that is your choice. But we would love to see it. I always love to see how people are learning, what they're learning, and what they're reflecting on. And that kind of thing also helps us iterate on anything that we put out at Ministry of Testing. Like if we're seeing things, people are interpreting something in a certain way and the outcome was maybe this, then we're like, maybe it's a bit of a tweak here. Or it also gives us confidence that the outcomes are being matched when people share their portfolios, evidence that it join it up to the outcome.
Yeah, to add to that, we do see snippets of people's portfolios. You can find them if you're sneaky on the club. So some activities link to club discussions. So the outputs of what people are doing in the certificate are being posted. So you see some really cool replies on the club. And actually, they're hidden because I wanted the whole community to be able to take part in some of these activities, because sometimes you've got Lisa Crispin taking part in this activity and giving her feedback and how she would tackle this task. And like, that's a huge strength, right? Is that you can have the whole multiverse can jump in and create little snippets of portfolio that then the learners can jump in and get inspiration from. But as well, I can see people on the course are posting in there as well. And we do have some, but it'd be so cool if we had a full brag portfolio. I really like brag portfolios. It would be really nice if we and it's something that we're aiming to do. We intend to reach out to people who are posting and then say, hey, do you fancy sharing your full portfolio?
Yeah, because maybe this is going back quite a way and maybe my memory is a bit sketchy on this one, but I know there was talk of portfolio, is that on the person to create it in whatever way they like, share however they like. We wondered, do we provide a structure or a place where they can store their portfolio and all of that stuff? So we decided it's up to the learner to document however it is they want to document and demonstrate stuff, but we can encourage people onto the club. So our forum here at Ministry of Testing to share stuff. So I've shared a cheeky link in the chat for those following along live. Anything that's tagged with MOT-STEC will show you the good stuff that Sarah has just mentioned. Oh, and breaking news in the chat. We have a message from Rosie Sherry. Rosie Sherry is the founder and CEO of Ministry of Testing. Bug news or breaking news, I passed the STEC exam this week. So bug congrats, Rosie. Loving it. I still need to take it. It's on my to-do list. I just can't quite get it to the top. And I look forward to taking it, actually.
It's particularly funny, her certificate, because it looks like she's awarded it to herself.
Yeah, I'll just give it to myself for free. I didn't do it, but yeah, because it's signed by her, isn't it? The official certificate. Yeah. Love that. That's very funny. Maybe we have to create a special edition where it's Rosie's, an alternative name for Rosie or something like that. We'll work on that one. Special edition. Brilliant. Sarah, where should we go now? Is there any thoughts? I guess if you like, I could share a little bit about the reviewing process, what that looked like, if that helps.
Yeah.
Or we could get some folks up on stage and they could share. But yeah, I'm happy to share a little bit if you like.
Just a little, yeah, because I would like to know. But you touched on it a little bit, how you were saying how some bits were things that you didn't know, even though you've been a tester for decades, and then
I'm like, crikey, I should have known that.
That's how I've talked to so many people that were involved in contributing. They were also saying things like, "Oh, I've been a tester for 10 years, but I never quite grasped heuristics and stuff like that." And they're like, "Oh, I'd love to read from those that are experts in heuristics." And so you're not alone. And then I was also wondering I'd love to know what was your favorite modules and why?
Love it. I think any module where it got into the nitty gritty. So it was I think it's looking at the lesson plan, number 10, so module 10 and 11 was it actually can see some demos, testing in action. How does it all fit together? So it brought together all the previous modules and it's not theory based. It is real, but there's that element of like, I get to see it. And for the way I guess I learn, and we all can take in information in different ways, was just nice to see it. And maybe for me, I was just curious to see how other people test, because I've seen it with teams that I managed in the past. If I paired up with them, I can see how they test, but other people in the community, actually seeing them, like, I'm going to run these test cases, or here's an exploratory testing session, or here's how I'm going to do a risk analysis of these requirements documents, and here's how I'm going to take notes. And actually seeing it for reals was very exciting. But there's no like, I guess there's no standout module in that sense, because it's all so interesting. I felt when I was reviewing it, it's like, this has just captured it perfectly. And the order it goes in just works so well. Each one builds upon the next, because there's so much to cover. And I think that was the challenge, is like, where do we stop? And I think we did a good job of working out where to stop and like where the scope ends. But we probably could have done more and probably could have done less, but neither of that would have made the difference. I think it's at that kind of size that is like, it's proper chunky and it's great value for money. If folks are purchasing this as a separate thing, then it's incredible value for money. Or if people get access to it as part of an unlimited membership, it's like mind-blowingly great value for money. And I feel for those folks who have unlimited membership, like, they're getting an incredible amount of stuff as part of that membership. And I'm not going to hide or shy away from saying that. I feel very confident saying that out loud and on the record. Of course, I'm biased because I work at Ministry of Testing, but I genuinely, like, it is so good that with an unlimited membership that STEC is included, because there's so much good stuff in there. And it's hard to know. Like, I'm looking at the list of all the modules, which would stand out. It's just the culmination of, like, if it was just like read all this stuff and then do an activity, that would be heavy going. But the fact it's broken up into various ways, like you listen to people sharing their stories, you listen to two people having a good old chit chat about a particular topic, you watch some demos, you read some pieces, like that combination, I think helps break it up and you keep the energy going as you go through STEC. Yeah. And it's wonderful in that respect.
Can I ask one more question about
Yeah,
review
go for it.
thing? I was like, when you and Rosie were giving feedback, like, it was, you two were just so very brilliant at like finding like gaps and suggesting. You were really good at coming up with different heuristics for things and like examples. I was going to say, like, how did you spot the gaps?
Oh, good question. I guess I was calling on just past experiences and past oracles and approaches, and just, I don't know. I guess I would always try and not really create a persona for a learner, but always think, like, what is the learner? Where are they at this stage? And that's a hard question to answer, right? Because while we know who we believe will get the most value from this, probably someone at the start of their career, it's still valuable for those who are experienced. And so my kind of review approach was like, can I think in terms of the learner? Like, what have they learned so far that they can pull in? And would this make sense to them? Is it clear? Is it engaging? Is it interesting? Can they genuinely take something away from this and do something with it? So that was my go-to approach. And the other heuristic I had for myself was the nod test. So I'd be like watching or listening to something or reading some of the lessons. And if I was nodding away going, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I assumed, given my experiences, that it was good. So if things were passing the nod test, I was very happy that this is really rock solid stuff.
Yeah.
And the people that have contributed really know their stuff and they're bringing in a awesome perspective. So I don't know if I've coined it the nod test. Maybe there's a few of that internally, like lots of yeses, this is great, between me and Rosie. But yeah.
Oh, I like the nod test. Makes sense. But Rosie's also written in the chat big shout out to people who are giving feedback and reporting books as they're going through the course. So yeah, so we are still, we've continuously always sought feedback and implemented it as we've gone, and we're still doing that now. I saw someone actually who's been giving really brilliant feedback this week. Adam Foy is in the audience, and he's given me tons of good feedback. So yeah, and generally speaking, I always implement it because it's useful. Being testers are really good at giving feedback and being really clear in why this needs to change. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, let's do it the same day most of the time. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll amplify that shout out to Adam. He's also mentioned in the chat, I started working through STEC a couple of weeks ago to fill in any gaps in my knowledge after winging it for years. It's really nice to see exactly who contributed to each module. It makes STEC feel more real than other courses. Nice one, Adam. That's great. And also kudos to you, Adam. You're getting the benefit with your unlimited membership as well, which is fantastic. So thank you for going for it with your learning and development and really committing to it. It's lovely to see that. Oh, Ady shared another good point, actually. Yeah, I guess. So Ady said, I really like that feedback wasn't just needs expanding or this is missing, but also I love this or that is explained so well. Yeah, I guess I was channeling a bit of the PQIP model. So problem, question, ideas, and praise. And it was important to, when sharing feedback, and Rosie did this as well, that we would like comment on stuff and go, this is great. Like, this makes total sense. Love this example. This is a great kind of diagram, those kind of things. Because, yeah, it wasn't just about pulling stuff apart. While that was important and to critique stuff to help with the quality, of course. But it was important to big stuff up as well. So, yeah, thanks for calling that out, Ady. Yeah, nice to remember that as well.
Yep. Do you
want Should we get
you to come on?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get some people up on stage. So if you have any questions about STEC, now is a good opportunity to do that. You can add them to the chat. And also, if you want to come up on stage and have a conversation about STEC, any thoughts that you'd like to share. And also for any contributors who are in the audience live right now, we would love to hear from you as well. What was your take on things? What was the experience like for you? How does it feel to be one of the 59 people that are leaving their mark on this industry way beyond just far-reaching impact on our craft? We'd love to hear from you. So let me just check. I see Ady Stokes has put their hand up. So Ady, let's get you up on stage. If I can do that, let's get you to the stage left. Here we go.
Fingers crossed.
Hooray! Ady, it's worked. We can hear you.
Hello. I have a question about STEC.
Please do go ahead.
It's less of a technical, more of a moral question. So I've been through STEC all the way through, every lesson, every module in some way or form. I've watched everything, I've done everything. I'd really like to have the STEC certificate for myself, but after I wrote all the multiple choice questions and know all the answers to it, is it really moral for me to take the test and get the certificate or not?
And I love it. Maybe we should put it to the vote, a live vote right now in the chat. Thumbs up for Ady getting certified. Thumbs down for maybe not. I'm personally a thumbs up, Ady. I think you should wear your STEC certificate loud and proud.
That's a good point, Judy.
And yes, Judy says yes, because you would be testing it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think so, Ady. Again, maybe we could make a special edition certificate to someone we make out to someone who has a very similar name to yourself. And we all know it's really you. But just in case people think, hang on a minute, he's just flagged this certificate. Well, we all know.
Should there be a curated certificate which says you're awarded it because you helped curate?
Oh, yeah, nice.
And I also had an idea when you were talking about Rosie certificate being awarded to Rosie by Rosie, the Rosie, as opposed to STEC, you could get Bug or Cosmo to award it.
I love that idea. For those unfamiliar, Bug is one of the Motiverse mascots, as is Cosmo, the space duck. So we encourage people to try and find. There's plenty of bugs to be found on ministryoftesting.com. please do go looking, as well as Space Duck Cosmo and Space Seagull. But yeah, I do like that idea. Why not? I think Bug, they do a lot of work, and they are busy and everywhere. Testing.com. So do go find Bug. I love that suggestion. And Ady, I think the results are unanimous. For those who are following along today live in the chat, for those who are listening in, it's just 100% thumbs up, Ady. So I think you go for it, right? And yourself 100%.
Yes. I like Michael's idea of a joint award from Space Duck, Bug and Seagull. What you hide them in the certificate, like you have to find them.
Tell me, goodness me, that's next level. Hiding them in a certificate. Oh my goodness. Imagine having to make unique ones each time. I would love to do that. Yeah. So whether I can get that on the top of my priority list, but I do love the concept of hiding Bug, at the very least, hiding Bug in the certificate.
Yeah, you could, until you could auto generate to plot in different places and avoid the wording.
Love it. I love it. And Ady, as well as your question about the ethics of you getting a certificate, getting certified, is there anything else you want to share? What other perspectives can you share? Like maybe about the articles process. I know you led the way on that heavily, and you worked with some wonderful people and helped with their writing and crafting of getting their knowledge onto pen and paper, so to speak.
Yeah, and I've been, before I started on the STEC certificate, although that STEC kicker at the end, I should have said certificate then, just when I started on STEC, I was already an editor for articles on the Ministry of Testing. So I help out on those with Rabia. So I'd already got into that editorial framework. And when it came to like overseeing the majority of the articles that were coming through, I just approached it from a similar point of view. So I'd treat it as a standalone article and I would edit it, and where it felt like we were delving into new areas, I'm trying to encourage them to expand and set context and stuff like that. And when it was a follow-on from the thing before, after I'd done the review of the item itself, then I had to like take a step back and look at where it fit into the entire course. So we didn't want to be like, there's some things you needed to reinforce and build on, but we didn't want to be over repetitive on things. So like finding the right balance between putting information in and referring back to a specific module or lesson and say, as it was covered in this, around this thing, like whether it's risk or whether it was techniques, recurrent, whatever, it was finding that balance. And fortunately, because I'd already created the curriculum for software testing level 4 apprenticeship, I was familiar with all the KSBs, the knowledge, skills and behaviours that the apprenticeship has to cover. So I built it from that point of view, but the STEC just goes so much further. I think it's the best tester introduction course in the world, not only because of the number of different perspectives and stories that are told in there and all the real world experience that people built into their content. It's that it's not just covering those knowledge, skills and behaviours that the level 4 apprenticeship covers. It goes much further. So where thought techniques are covered in the apprenticeship, we go much deeper about how we think like a software tester. And that goes as far as receiving and giving feedback. And there's a whole chapter on communication. How do you communicate well as a software tester? And in the module's called The Art of Communicating Testing. You know, why do testers tell stories? What evidence do we collect? You know, what makes a good bug report? It's not just the facts, but you're telling a story about who this bug might affect and the consequences of it, what are the risks, what's the damage to return on investment and things like that. But the whole thing was done with, you have the core knowledge, you have the stories around how those have been applied and challenges people have faced and stuff like that. And then you've got the even wider, like the conversational stuff. So within every module, I think every module has at least 3 different types of way of communicating information. So no matter what your preference, everybody learns from everything. Just because you prefer listening to things doesn't mean you can't read and learn. It's just your preference. But having those different ways, it helps people interact with it in the way that they feel most comfortable. But you're getting a whole person's journey and a whole person's story around the skill that they're communicating. And that's just far beyond anything that's out there, in my opinion.
I love it. Thank you for sharing, Ady. I was busy nodding away the nod test. Yes. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you sharing that. And you make an interesting point about, like, as you mentioned earlier on, about the balance of like, oh, what stuff is repeated or not, or referenced to. And I found that as a reviewer, is like thinking in terms of, again, the learner, that in some cases, what's been shared might not land immediately. So opportunities to see something from a slightly different angle, and it's presented similar information but presented in a different way, where folks at that point would probably go, now I get it. I think there would be a lot of now I get it moments throughout this, particularly if someone is completely new to software testing. It can be quite overwhelming. There's all these fancy words like oracles, heuristics, risks, requirements. You're like, what are these words? And STEC does a good job of trying to, making them real. Like, even if someone doesn't have the context of being in an engineering team or a product development team, or in a dedicated QA team or testing team, whatever their context, it tries its best. And I think it does a good job of making it real and giving examples of what this could look like.
Yeah, one of the good things that STEC has done is that as we were introducing concepts and explaining them, that generated a lot of content for the glossary. So we said, well, can you expand and give some context to this? And then you go, well, actually, that paragraph there, that's a great glossary entry for that term. So like the glossary was building up alongside as STEC was being created. So people would see new things being added to the glossary and maybe not know why someone decided to write that or whatever. But it was, like I said, the STEC was a driver behind expanding that glossary. Oh, thanks for sharing the link, Simon.
Oh, I've really.
That's building so well. And one of the things I absolutely love about the Motiverse glossary is that it's not necessarily one person's opinion on what this means or a dictionary definition. The people describe it in context and give examples. And you can also have multiple people's points of view. So you can comment on a glossary, give your definition and go, I like that definition, but it also I've seen it explained like this, or it applied to this in this different context, or whatever it might be. So, like STEC had at least 5 people for every piece of content that's in it. And if you had a roundtable conversation with 4 people, then you had like the 4 curators plus 4 people involved. So you had so many eyeballs on things. It was hard to miss, but it was hard to have gaps because one of those multiple people looking at it would pick up on it. And that was like the beauty of it, was that it wasn't just, it's not, this is what I think you should learn. This is what the Motiverse thinks you should learn. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great way of framing it. Absolutely. And for the stats folks out there, I'm just pulling the numbers now. As of Monday, just gone, with reference to the glossary, there are now 263 individual terms, of which there are 406 definitions. So amplifying your point there, Ady, that it's not just a dictionary definition. It's like, that's it. If we can't debate this definition, it's like, or this term, people can share their own definitions. So yeah, the glossary is amazing. It's just so much. It's such a good reference point, and it just connects so well to STEC. And I love the fact that STEC was a huge contributor to the glossary. Great. Well, thank you for joining us, Ady. Please do stick around. Sarah, just doing a quick time check. What do you think we should do next? I do see we have Maneesh asking in the chat, and also we can invite him up on stage. What do you think, Sarah?
Yes.
Let's do it. To stage left. Here we go.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Maneesh. Good to see you again, hear from you again. Yeah, how's things been? How has your week in testing been?
So my week has been busy. So there's something we can call AI workshop or AI Academy. So I'm taking part of, and I'm being part of it to curate some content for the whole academy thing. So that's work in progress. I'll let you know how it goes. So other than that, talking about, since we are talking about STEC this week, wanted to get an idea on the maybe a discussion about reporting the chat. Then would they have any plans of adding region-specific examples so you get support in other languages and then culture and all types of the applications?
Sarah, do you want to share some thoughts on that?
At first, I would say that we had contributions from people from all over the world. So hopefully there is already a variety of examples given with regards to language support. Everything on the Motiverse is in English, and I guess we'd rely on people using tools to translate things. There is also transcripts for all videos. And then in the exam, there is extra time for people who have English as an additional language. But it's not, I wouldn't say there isn't really the scope right now to rewrite things in another language.
Okay, so this is thought. Now everybody's talking about personalization. Everybody's talking about having this curated content. So just wanted to ask them, do you have any plans of doing it in the future properly?
Any plans on what, sorry?
Any plans of introducing in the future or comment it with all the AI stuff that's going on?
Oh, AI. AI is in the course already. There are lessons that touch on using AI. I can think of one of the testing, I think it's the testing specialisms. There was like tools that help with AI assisted testing. So there's a lesson on that, but then it is also scattered throughout. I remember, my memory is not amazing, but I remember Cassandra Lung did a lesson on test cases, which was her first ever demo, and it was amazing. Like, Cassandra, if you listen to this, please do more. You're fantastic. And she touched on the latter part of that demo that you can make use of AI to help you with test cases. But then she also talked about the pros and cons of using such tools. It's also been brought up in test bites. So when you're talking to people about how do you do this, what are your stories around it? If people are using AI, they would talk about it and they would talk about the problems they were having. So it's already in there.
I guess the other part, which might be useful to know about Maneesh and to other listeners today, we do have at Ministry of Testing some on-demand courses, which are worth checking out. We do have a specific AI-focused one. It's by Rahul Pawar, Prompting for Testers, which is wonderful. And Sarah, can we...
Yeah.
We sneaky peek that Rahul is working on another wonderful on-demand course, taking the prompting for testers to the next level. And Sarah, you've been working closely with Rahul on that, and you keep bigging it up internally. It's amazing. You're like, oh, he's done this. It's amazing, and we've got this. We can't wait for people to give it a go.
I love it so much. It's so good. The last lesson is actually just finished being edited today.
Oh, there we go.
I'm really hoping to have the capacity to get that live either next week or the following. And it is amazing. Like, Rahul is incredible. One of my favorite lessons is around prompting playgrounds and how you can use prompts to like build mini apps to do like tasks for you, and you can train it yourself. And it looks so simple that even I think that I should tackle this, and I'm going to try to create my little app to do jobs for me. It's incredible, of course. I'm really excited about that one.
Love it. Yeah, I know. Wow, Rahul is a wonderful teacher and trainer. So looking forward to checking that out, and no doubt be playing with that playground and seeing what is possible for us, both internally at Ministry of Testing and across the Motiverse as folks experiment and start sharing their little apps and perhaps making them public. That'd be very cool. Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us, Maneesh. It's really good to hear from you. Keep the questions coming. And that goes to everyone who's listening today. So you do have more questions about STEC, or you're curious about it, or you want to know a bit more, or share some feedback, just go for it, right? There's many ways to get in contact with the team at Ministry of Testing. Perhaps the quickest and shortest way is to go to ministrytesting.com and start a chat with the little chat feature in the bottom right of your screen. And in the meantime, for those watching and listening along live, I'm going to post a link to STEC that will take you to the the STEC page, all the details about what is included. Yeah, just some reasons that you should consider getting involved and giving STEC a go. And we need your help, right? This is still new. There are certificates that won't be mentioned, but will be by me. ISTQB is an example. The foundation certificate, that has been out in the market for a very long time, and it seems to be the only one that most folks reference, talk about, particularly on their LinkedIn profiles or when they're putting on their CVs or trying to get a job or get a promotion, etc. We would love your help to turn that narrative to STEC. So hence why we say it for a bit of comedy effect, STEC. But we really mean it. We genuinely believe that this is a game changer for the industry and we need your help promoting it. So if you are listening today, maybe share it on your social platforms, mention it to your colleagues, mention it if you are a manager to some of the team that you're managing, just to consider it and spread the word. It is wonderful. The people that have been involved in this are just incredible professionals. And for them, it promotes them as well and raises their profile. So it's a win for the community and our industry. So please do go spread the word. Say it loud. STEC. Thank you, Ady and Rosie, for sharing that in the chat. For those following along live, Sarah, any final thoughts before we sign off for today?
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't.
It's all good. It's been lovely co-hosting with you, Sarah. We should try and do this more often. Like this is a special edition, of course, but yeah, we should co-host more This Week in Testings together. So thank you very much for the opportunity to co-host today. And thank you also for leading the way with STEC. You have been an absolute legend and the community is utterly and forever grateful for everything you've done to make this happen and make it a reality. It's very cool indeed. So thank you, Sarah. That's appreciated.
Thank
Okay,
you.
fun. Anytime, always. Brilliant. As Rosie shares in the chat, 18 months to build STEC, such a mammoth task that Sarah led with. Give Sarah a community star. Yes, indeed. People with a professional membership or unlimited membership can award community stars. So I would recommend heading over to Sarah Deary's profile after this episode and sharing a star to say thanks. Please do go for it. Okay, folks, we're going to wrap up for today. Thank you to Ady and Maneesh for joining us on stage and for also those who joined us live and participating in the chat. It's lovely to read all the comments come through. Do keep the conversations coming. Do keep questioning things. Do investigate STEC and spread the word. We'd be very grateful. And enjoy the rest of your day. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.